Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
I'm talking about Anthony Joshua. There's been a lot of talk about you guys sparring. Sparring is sparring at the end of the day, and I get that with every fighter. But there's certain stories that have come out in regards to yourself and Anthony in the past. Is there any truth to you actually knocking down Anthony Joshua in sparring in the past?
Yes, there is definitely truth to that. I'm not going to deny it. I've sparred him. I've caught him with some big shots.
What were those spars like? Can you just shed a tiny little bit of light on them? I'm sure he's going to have his say, but from your perspective.
Good spars, and this whole like conversation they're trying to get, he just cracked me with a good shot, but I stood on my feet. I don't know where this whole narrative of like someone turned my lights off came from, but
well, I can tell you probably.
Was you there?
No, but I mean, what I can say is that started very much from their side on their team. Frank
That's
Warren and Daniel Dubois.
Yeah,
they were happy to play on that narrative.
There's a lot of people that was in the gym that day as well, and people have come out and said that nah, nothing happened. But anyway, look, people say what they say.
I don't think David Price was there, but he said on the video he watched, he said Joshua was wobbled, he wasn't floored. Frank Warren, was he at the sparring session? He said that Daniel floored him and was beating AJ up. Fraser Clark admits that Daniel Dubois floored him, but he denies that Anthony Joshua was floored by Daniel. Why would he cover for AJ and freely admit that he got decked by Daniel? 2017 in Sheffield, Daniel would have been about 18, 19, Joshua around 26, 27. I always felt that Frank Warren, whether it's true or not, was using this to promote Daniel. You have to remember, the story broke 2018. Daniel turned pro the same year the alleged sparring sessions happened. And in 2017, 2018, Matchroom was obliterating Queensbury, with Anthony Joshua doing stadium fights and everything else they were doing. They was obliterating Queensbury. So Frank Warren shamelessly promoted Daniel by leading with that story that he floored Joshua in sparring, because there was no other way of promoting him without aligning his name to Joshua, whether the story is true or not. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Daniel could drop AJ. I think if Daniel catches anyone clean, he can wobble them or put them on the canvas. AJ's never promoted himself of sparring rumours. Like, he never brought up the Tyson Fury sparring session. It was Tyson Fury who always brought up that AJ was ragdolling him. It was Fury who brought it up. Is it just promotion though? Does Daniel actually need to be built up, even if it's stuff that's not true? And he knows it's not true. You know, they've got Daniel's dad ringside now to give Daniel extra confidence. I think Don Charles has had a positive influence on Daniel. I don't think AJ needs as much in terms of confidence boosting as Daniel does. And you could just look at the resumes of what AJ's achieved. The level of opposition that AJ's faced compared to Daniel's not comparable. Like, a lot of people are making a big deal that Daniel in his last two has fought better opponents than AJ. So they're suggesting that Jerome Miller is better than Otto Wallin. I didn't see Jerome Miller go life and death with Tyson Fury. And he certainly doesn't have the amateur pedigree that Otto Wallin had. And I'm not sure if I'd have Jerome Miller as a favourite if he fought Otto Wallin. I don't think I would. I think I'd be picking Otto to win on points. Daniel may have also been the benefactor of fighting Jerome Miller when he's not juicing. Because when he was fighting on them Demetrius Alita cards, before he popped for the AJ fight, there was probably little to no testing. And anyone who believes he just started juicing for the AJ fight, well, I don't believe that. You can believe that. I don't believe that. But nevertheless, it's definitely a good win for Daniel, which kind of turned the corner for Daniel. And then the Hrgovic victory, obviously, that's huge. That's huge. I don't think he did anything to Hrgovic that Anthony Joshua wouldn't have did, though. That's my opinion. That's Daniel's best win. Apparently, Daniel said something about Anthony Joshua's mother. I don't know if it's true or false. Jerome Miller is his new friend. That could be a possible influence. I'd say it's a little excessive. Didn't he say something about Joe Joyce's mother's failing eyesight? And that put Joe's back up, it really did. But, you know, Daniel's doing whatever he can do to pump himself up. It's whatever works for the individual. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, they had their opinions on the fight. I remember Usyk saying that AJ was on a different level shortly after he beat Dubois. And his opinion hasn't changed. He said it's like the Olympic champion versus the UK champion. And he says AJ's changed a lot psychologically recently. And I'm assuming he means for the better. He believes AJ will win. And he also said AJ made it possible for him to achieve greatness with their 2 fights. And he would gladly give AJ a 3rd fight if he requested one, if he beats Daniel. Frank Warren said Tyson Fury believes Daniel will do the business. I'll tell you what, every time Tyson Fury picks against Anthony Joshua, he goes left. So that might not be a good omen for Daniel. Daniel's got a puncher's chance. He's strong, he's young, he's improving. You know I'm picking AJ.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. Boxing. Beats and rhymes.
Turkey Al Sheikh. Fury versus Usyk 2 reignited. 21st of December 2024. What does it all mean?
It's clobbering time.
It's time. It's time to do battle. The first fight was in May. They should be all about healed up and ready to get back in camp soon to do battle. We know Usyk is normally a stay ready guy. And for Tyson Fury to be competitive, let alone win this fight, he needs to be a stay ready guy from the last camp, from the last fight to this next camp, to this next fight. It's as simple as that. Usyk's quirky, I guess, nature hides a steely, tough demeanor. I think a big factor, as both men are deep into their 30s now, accumulating a lot of injuries, is who this quicker than expected turnaround will suit best. Because Bob Arum was saying this fight was going to happen 2025. I think most people would agree that it should suit Usyk better, the quicker than expected turnaround. I wouldn't be shocked if either man pulled out. My money would be on Tyson Fury perhaps cancelling or postponing, looking for more time. I would like to tentatively suggest that Turkey pencils in the winner of Dubois versus Joshua, with a view that the winner will fight the winner out of Usyk versus Fury.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. Boxing. Beats and rhymes.
So the British Boxing Board of Control have ordered purse bids for the English champion Solomon Dakers. 9 wins, no losses, no draws, 3 inside the distance to take on the challenger Moses ITAUMA. 10 wins, 8 inside the distance, no losses, no draws. The purse bids will take place 12 noon on Wednesday the 11th of September, and the fight must be arranged before the end of January 2025. They've also announced that FABIO Wardley, the British champion, 17 wins, 1 draw, 16 inside the distance, has agreed terms with Frazer Clarke to have a rematch on the back of their March thriller, which ended in a draw. Will now be in the process of arranging a date and a venue. An announcement should be coming soon. The challenger Clarke, 8 wins, 1 draw, 6 knockouts. Good to see that they've reached terms and they're going to get it on again. Wardley and Clarke could end up on Bivol Baturbia for October the 12th. Although, of course, FRAZER versus FABIO is a headliner in itself. As for Moses ITAUMA, the Joe Joyce talk, I think the Solomon Dakers fight is probably the better step forward than Joe Joyce. In saying that, without the aggression or the power and the physical strength, Dakers is the more tidy boxer than Joe Joyce. He was in better shape for the recent rematch with Michael Webster. In the first fight last year, you could argue that Webster won the fight. And it's a good test for ITAUMA. He'll be a huge favourite, and people will be expecting him to stop Solomon Dakers. But it won't be that easy to stop Solomon. I'm letting everyone know that from now.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. Boxing. Beats and rhymes.
Boxing Social had a very interesting interview with Eddie Hearn. Looks like they're trying to cash out Joe Cordina, and I don't like using such phrasing unless the math is adding up, but this looks like a cash out. They offered Joe Cordina a shot at Shakur's WBC 135-pound title. Now, Joe's coming off a stoppage loss, and Eddie said yes, Joe is looking for the big fights at this stage of his career. But, you know, with Tony Sims, they're thinking it's not ideal to go straight into a Shakur Stevenson fight, coming off that Kakache stoppage loss, losing his 130-pound title in the process. Ideally, Cordina needs a confidence builder. But right now, for Eddie to meet the demands of promoting, should I say, an expensive acquisition like Shakur Stevenson and the Riyadh season deadlines, yo, you got to get cashed out and sacrificed.
That's life.
You want the big fight or not, Joe? You would hope, though, like Eddie can make the Williams-ZEPEDA fights, which should have been happening next. According to Shakur, Turkey offered ZEPEDA the fight, but ZEPEDA turned it down and pushed it back until February 2025. Yo, the Golden Boy stable is shook, bruh. Shook. That's the second time ZEPEDA swerved that fight. And you know what he's getting like, to me, is like, De La Hoya is the American-Mexican version of Ben Shalom. I mean, how's Oscar got the nerve to tell Canelo that he's not making good fights? I mean, recently that is true. But to be honest, I don't even care. I don't care no more. Devin Haney spoke about a comeback after the no decision debacle with Ryan Garcia. I know he didn't accept that top rank bid to fight Sandor Martin, so he's a champion in recess or interim champion. I guess PUELLA is going to fight Sandor Martin. If Aram's got the balls to take that to ESPN, that is. They don't want to air that fight. They don't want to air it. I would watch it, but they don't want to air that fight. Viewing figures,
forget about it.
Public interest,
Forget about it.
so ESPN will probably.
Forget about it.
And then we got Boots Ennis, who's being ordered to face his mandatory Karen Kohazian, who Boots has beat already on a UD. Wasn't the most exciting fight. I can't really say what the Ukrainian was doing was milling on the retreat. He was running around the ring. He literally was running. Karen was basically a spoiler. So Eddie is not keen to go back into a replay of that. And I'm sure Boots and his old man are saying, Eddie, do something. Do something about this. Because it was a horrible fight. Let's keep it real. But he is the mandatory, and if they have to take the fight, they'll take the fight. But Eddie has offered Mario Barrios a significant purse to put his WBA belt against Boots' IBF belt in a unification. And I'd much prefer to see that fight than Boots' mandatory. Surely after Manny Pacquiao's recent exhibition, they can't still be trying to put Barrios versus Pacquiao on. Surely not.
Forget about it.
Boots needs to take his big self from out at 147, give up that IBF belt. Unless he can make a huge fight at 147, move up. And as soon as I say that, Conor Benn, number 7 with the WBO, number 3 with the WBC, number 2 with the WBA, and he's just got a number 3 ranking with the IBF. And it's led to speculation after an Eddie Hearn interview that I haven't seen, that there could be a possible Conor Benn, Jaron Boots Ennis fight. Eddie appeared to be saying that the Conor Benn UCAD British Boxing Board of Control situation is about to sort itself out. But he said, look, it could be this year, it could be next year. He kind of didn't divulge anymore. Free Conor Benn merch coming soon. Joking. That could actually take place in the UK. Boots versus Conor. Nice O2 arena fight. Doesn't need to be no stadium fight. Fill out the O2. That will sell out in seconds. That one I might actually go to. Conor Benn suggesting that he will return with a huge fight. No tune-up, no warm-up. Obviously, Eddie has lobbied with the IBF to get that ranking, so this next fight will be at welter. So it's a distinct possibility that it could be Boots. He said he's always been dangerous, so I've always been up for whoever, wherever, anywhere. That's just who he is. Anyone can get it at any time. He told his team that he's coming back and going straight into a big fight. Hey, it could be at Philly. I'm saying London, and I need to stop doing that. Like, London's the only place. Remember, Boots sold out 14,000 at the Wells Fargo last time out. So it could be in Philly. Boots is the champion.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. Boxing. Beats and rhymes.
Sandy Ryan defends the WBO welterweight title against MIKAELA Mayor in New York. It's got all the signs that it's going to be a very competitive fight, potentially contentious decision. And if Sandy, the British girl, is on the wrong end of a contentious decision, I wonder what Bob Arum will have to say after that little rant he went on in the UK after Jack Catterall edged out Josh Taylor. In my opinion, Catterall was more than deserving of the W. He made a big deal that he's not going to let American fighters fight over in the UK. Hopefully Sandy steams through MIKAELA and we can avoid all that. Like I say, it's got all the signs of being a very competitive, contentious fight. All the signs. One of the reasons I say that is MIKAELA's last 2 fights in the UK, Baumgardner, that could have went either way. The Natasha Jonas fight, if Bob was going to make a big deal about his fighters getting jobbed in the UK, you wouldn't have went for Catterall versus Josh Taylor. You would have went for MIKAELA Mayor versus Natasha Jonas. But he probably didn't even watch it, because we all know what he thinks about women's boxing. He probably didn't even watch it. He didn't fight for MIKAELA to get any kind of justice. Find me a quote where he's upset about the Natasha Jonas decision. Bob, you're too old. And where was Bob's objections when his fighter, Josh Taylor, got probably the most controversial decision of that year in the first fight against Catterall?
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. Boxing. Beats and rhymes.
Split decision losses to Daniel Jacobs. UD losses that were a lot closer on inspection against Golovkin. Hurt Golovkin with them body shots. Gave Jamal Charlo a stiff contest. Probably Jamal Charlo's last good fight. Lost to UD. Lost the majority to Carlos Adames, the current WBC middleweight champion. Had a barnstormer with Jaime Munguia, which looked a lot closer than the UD they gave Munguia. We know Sergey DEREVYANCHENKO can fight. We know this. But at 38, does he have any work for Christian MBILLI, an improving 168-pounder, the leading contender in most of the sanctioning bodies? This is in Quebec, Canada, this Saturday. I'm intrigued. I don't think DEREVYANCHENKO can win it. I have a feeling he will expose the naiveties and inexperience that MBILLI lacks, even though he's 29 years of age. MBILLI will know what he needs to work on if he's to become a champion of any note after he fights DEREVYANCHENKO. That is for sure. That's an impressive list of fighters that DEREVYANCHENKO has given tough fights. If MBILLI can go one better and do a clean job, perhaps stop DEREVYANCHENKO, he will peak the boxing radar this weekend.
Boxing. Beats and rhymes. Boxing. Beats and rhymes.